Hello Carters, in this video I will explain some of the things that happened in my recent task of Rainbow Road 3 lap. If you have not watched that video, you should go watch it now before watching this one. At the very start of the course, I turned slightly. The interesting thing about this is that I don't lose any speed. To understand how, we have to look at the value which determines how much you slow down, which I'm calling turn loss. This value goes up or down quickly while I'm turning until it reaches maximum speed loss. When I'm not turning, it slowly goes back towards zero. Now, at the start of the race, there is one frame during which I can change turn loss, but I'm not moving and cannot actually turn. So I just press right on that one frame and then left on the next. Then I jump. This is because it allows me to keep moving horizontally at top speed. If I followed the angled road, then part of my forward speed would go towards vertical motion. I also fast fall. Angling my cart downward while in the air causes my maximum speed to increase, so that once my boost wears out, my maximum speed will still be higher than my current speed. Even though this doesn't let me speed up midair, Mario Kart DS physics will allow slowing down midair. Once I get close to the road, I start angling back up. It's a bit hard to see since it's only a little, but this is necessary to keep from slowing down when I land. If my angle was too large, I'd basically crash into the road instead of landing smoothly. There's not much interesting about this first turn except that I don't stay right on the inside edge. This is because the cart I'm using can't turn quite that quickly, so I have to start the turn slightly towards the outside. Also, there is a tiny spot where you can go out of bounds while even going off the road. Like, really? Then I go around the boost pad, because I want to turn around pretty soon, and that's hard to do if I'm driving really fast. Why do I go so far forward just to then turn around? Because the game doesn't want people to skip large portions of the track, and so forces me to trigger a number of key checkpoints. If I don't, the lap won't count. You can see these key checkpoints as blue lines on the small screen in my task video. To turn around, I first start a right drift. The benefit of this is that it allows me to drive somewhat sideways so I can get partially turned around before leaving the inside edge. Immediately after the drift, I hold both A and B. This is because pressing both A and B at the same time causes me to lose 2% of my speed each frame, which for a little while is more than the absolute speed loss I'd get from just holding B. Slowing down is not just to avoid driving off the outside edge of the road though. Mario Kart carts can turn faster while going at a somewhat slow speed than they can at either high or extremely low speeds. This shortcut is quite tricky because there is an out-of-bounds area very close to the higher road. In order to avoid hitting the out-of-bounds area or the road, I have to be extremely close to the road when I pass it. I also have to go at an appropriate angle, but that isn't a problem since this is the angle I want anyway. Again, fast fall. That landing is where things get weird though. When I land, I suddenly start moving left. When I turn midair, the angle of my sideways motion is changed by an approximately equal amount. However, since I use a right drift here, that sideways motion pushes me further left instead of countering my turn. Another weird thing that happens when I land is that my speed goes up above top speed. My maximum speed is still high from the fast fall when I land, and since I'm boosting here, I can accelerate to this speed quickly. It drops pretty fast after landing though. And not all of that speed increases from the fast fall. Maximum speed is also increased when you go off of an uphill slope, which I did. Mario Kart physics for the win! This next turn is tricky. Rob's standard cart can't turn very quickly, so I have to start really wide, then go in for a better angle. Even so, I still have to sacrifice my mini turbos to make use of that sideways motion. And after losing sideways motion, another right drift would make me slide left, so I do a wide left drift to slide right. You might think I'd want to get this mini turbo as soon as possible, but I have to delay it in order to make this jump. Fast fall. After bouncing, I spin midair. This is done by holding my right drift midair without holding left or right. But immediately before landing, I release my right drift and start a left one, which slides me to the right. I hold the drift just long enough to get around this rail, then hop into a right drift to start sliding left. Here, I want to use a mini turbo to get my speed up as soon as possible, but I have to hop to keep my sideways motion, and there isn't enough space before the edge of the road, so I have to hop before reaching top speed. Fast fall. Actually, I want to go slow here so that I don't fly off the other side of the road. But the speed I keep from the fast fall pales in comparison to the speed I lose by crashing into the road at a high angle. I also do another mid-air spin here. I'd really prefer not bouncing, but super sticky tires weren't an option. Fortunately, I was able to get a small bounce. This spiral is extremely weird. I'm not going to explain why this is the fastest way to do it, because I only know because of trial and error. It might seem weird to start my left drifts this early here, but I have to in order to get all of that sideways motion before actually reaching the left turn. At the end of the left turn, I again have to sacrifice my mini turbo to make use of sideways motion, and again I have to delay a mini turbo to make a good jump. If the transition to lap 2 looks a little weird, it's because it is. I wanted to make use of the lap timer bug. It would take too long to explain how it works here, but I have a video demonstrating its effect on Baby Park with an explanation in the video description. All I'll say here is that it saved me about 15 or 20 milliseconds from the game's displayed total time, even though it saved me nothing in terms of the actual length of the run. After that, lap 2 is almost identical to lap 1 until after the first shortcut. This time I use a different shortcut for this section of the course, and like the first shortcut, I have to go forward a bit past the shortcut to reach a key checkpoint. The reason I did a different shortcut for laps 1 and 2 is that I wanted to keep my mushroom, which means I can't go out of bounds. Without using a mushroom, the shortcut I did on lap 1 is a couple frames slower than this one, but saving the second mushroom for the next lap is easily worth it. And before you ask, no, using Rob's 3 mushroom cart would not help. That cart doesn't have long enough mini turbos to be any good at any other part of the course, and BLS does not have enough extra speed to make up for having only 1 mushroom. Also, switching to a slower cart is not worth the benefits it would have. Before the weird spiral, I turn in order to do it well. I don't start a drift to turn because that would require waiting until I've stopped accelerating, and then waiting until I've landed, and then dealing with sideways motion. The next point of interest is the first shortcut on lap 3. I do not have a mushroom this time, so I have to use a mini turbo. This means that I have to go further forward and start turning around from the outside so that I will have enough space to charge it. And since this time I have to turn more than I did previously, I reach the ideal turning speed before it's time to accelerate. This is why I press and release A a couple times before holding it. Because I already have maximum sideways motion, I can't use the weird sliding trick which I used on the previous laps. This time I have to turn left normally, even turning a little bit after landing. After that, it's pretty much the same as the previous lap to the next shortcut, and after that, it's exactly the same as the previous lap until the last drift. Since this is the last lap, I can drift a little tighter, don't have to do a left drift, and don't have to worry about the lap timer bug. All of which saves me a total of 8 milliseconds. Thanks for watching! I hope you enjoyed this video and, of course, the task itself. If not, leave a comment and let me know what I can do better next time. If you did like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so that you might be notified when the next one comes out. And you can still comment too.